Hey guys, how we doing? So we're back on another Mother's Basement video. Now this is the one you actually suggested, where he takes all three of the My Hero Academia OPs and basically decides which one's next. Just want to know, I'm in a bit of a bad mood because as of me recording this, the Bumblebee trailer is up on YouTube and it just winds me up that they're using the G1 designs and trying to be all like, look, we're doing the G1 designs, look at Starscream, look at Bumblebee, ooh, it's emotional. It doesn't make sense with the storyline that they've created with these movies unless it's a reboot. Anyway, God, I'm not going on a mad tangent. We're going to get into this. My Hero Academia's third opening is more than a meme. What's in an OP? This is the one you actually wanted me to watch, so, but I think it makes more sense that I watched the other one first. Anyway.
Before we get into talking about the third Hiroaka OP and comparing all of them to see which one's the best, I want to address a few comments that I got on Reddit last week. Firstly, KL Reviews pointed out that the black lightning between Izuku and Bakugo in the first OP is probably a reference to the cover of Volume 2 of the manga, where their first battle takes place. That's a great catch, man! Thank you. Secondly, Send Me Your Traps asked if Toru is really in these OPs as much as I said she is. A few other people were confused by this on both Reddit and YouTube, so I made this quick response to clarify things.
That's amazing.
I hope that clears things up for you.
There's
now
obviously
let's get to
a joke.
analyzing the third opening so that I can finally declare officially from my office as the anime pope which one is the best. The third theme song, Sora ni Utaiba, has become something of a minor meme in the YouTube community of late. It hasn't quite reached the level of Gurren no Yumiya or even Hiroaka's own Yusei Run, which I'm told goes with everything, but I bring the song up not for its memeability, but rather because of how relevant its lyrics are to the visuals of the OP. While the other OPs connect thematically to their respective theme songs, the entire narrative of this OP is built around the lyrics of Sora ni Utaiba, so I can't really break down the one without discussing the other. Normally, I don't like to talk about lyrics because there's so much margin for error when translating them from Japanese. It's basically impossible to translate both the precise timing of the words and their actual meaning at the same time and have it make sense in English. But in this case, I don't really have a choice. On that note, the opening starts with Deku throwing a powerful punch that breaks through a cloud of smoke around him, revealing the blue sky behind it. As revealed in the song lyrics, the smoke represents a falsehood that Midoriya is cutting through, though a better translation might be deception. Kyojitsu is a concept in warfare and martial arts that any target presented could be a feint or illusion, kyo, or a true threat, jitsu. So, Kyojitsu is about determining when your opponent is feinting or serious while disguising your own intent to trick them. In the case of this song, I think it refers to the false goals that stand in the way of one's true ideals, and man, do you see why I don't do lyrics in these videos? At any rate, Deku only manages to blow away some of the smoke with his punch. It hangs in the air around him until All Might lands, coming in with the song's title line, and blowing the clouds away with the shockwave of his impact. His cape drops after a second, and we see the sun shine through from behind it, bathing both of them in light. Deku just can't achieve this level of clarity without All Might's help, at least not yet. The two smile at each other over the lyrics, Hitsuzen, Hitsuzen, or It's inevitable, pointing to the inevitability that Deku will one day surpass All Might and take his place.
That's cool.
Then they grasp each other's hands, and Deku activates One for All Full Cowl as he's pulled forward. This shot hammers home the idea of All Might passing the torch to Deku. The camera moves right until only Deku's arm remains, having inherited all of All Might's power. As the lyrics go on about fighting together with all of our might for a better future, Deku throws a punch, smiling as he does it and bringing us into the title card. Since this sequence plays over the song's chorus, it has a lot of important parallels to the point where the chorus repeats itself in the OP, but it does double duty as a continuation of the previous two openings. In the first opening, All Might represented an impossibly faraway dream to Deku. In the second, he was still a very distant goal, but one now grounded in reality, it was feasible for Deku to reach him one day. In the third opening, All Might is right up in Deku's face, acknowledging him as his peer as a hero and potentially an equal down the line, and pulling him forward to his destiny. We see the two of them actually touch each other for the first time in any of these openings here. For his part, Deku is no longer stricken with awe now. He smiles at All Might like a friend, not an object of admiration. He also shows an entirely new emotion here, the determination to fight for his future, even if he has to face All Might to do it. Which is good because this intro segment actually does triple duty in foreshadowing the final arc of the season where Deku and Bakugo have to fight the Symbol of Peace himself for their final exam. The most obvious connection to the arc is All Might's superhero landing, which he also does at the start of the exams, but Deku's behavior is important as well. After he punches away the cloud of doubt and deception, what does he do? He turns to face All Might, adopting a pose that says, or come at me. This represents the moment at the very end of the fight when Bakugo is in trouble and instead of running to secure the win, Deku charges at All Might, smashes him in the jaw, and rescues his partner. Smiling as he does it because, as All Might said, heroes inspire others by smiling in the face of adversity. We'll get back to this at the end of the OP. Anyway, we've been on the first 20 seconds of this opening for the last 3.5 minutes, so let's get moving. Deku throws his smash, bringing us into the title card, which comes together out of broken pieces as various characters are projected onto it. There's no particular meaning to any of these individual shots, but as a whole they say that Deku's story is cobbled together from the stories of everyone else around him.
That's cool.
After the rubble clears, the title is charged with energy, and we hang on it for just a second before it shifts colors. First to the color scheme of All Might's costume, and then to another one that I can't identify, though it may just be nothing more than a nice complementary color scheme. Panning down, we see All Might standing heroically and looking out over the city with an impressive parallax effect in the background, giving the shot a nice sense of depth. The lyrics speak to past mistakes and regrets brought on by chasing a mirage or false goal. This ends with a shot of Gran Torino looking back at All Might. All Might is replaced with a darkened shot of his mentor, Nana Shimura, standing in the rain in front of a sea of hazy lights. This alludes to how Nana, the previous holder of One for All, died after passing her power on, leaving Gran Torino to train All Might in her stead, and shows how heavily this weighs on both of them. It also hints that All Might's time as a hero could be nearing its end, just as Nana's did. And if you look closely, you can see Toru standing on the building.
It's just very...
Next, we see Deku as he turns to face Todoroki, who is revealed to be looking out toward a dead-eyed Ida, mourning his brother's injury at the hands of Stain. This depicts a chain of causality. Deku helping Todoroki in the tournament meant that he was there to help Ida in the alleyway. It also shows that in this moment, Ida is blind to those who support him, thinking only of the loss of his brother and of charging in to get revenge on Stain. Mirroring the song lyrics once again, Ida is willing to lose anything in pursuit of this goal. Next, we see how Uraraka, Yaoyorozu, and Bakugo are coping with their own past failures and embarrassments. As Taser Lad pointed out in his comparison between the three openings, the texture behind these characters is probably the plus ultra wall from the end card of the OP, representing the hurdles that they need to go beyond in order to advance as heroes. Another nice catch. Ochako shows renewed determination as she looks back on her decisive loss to Bakugo and the seriously heart-wrenching call that she had with her parents afterwards. Yaoyorozu is plagued by self-doubt, beaten down by her failures in the sports festival, and Bakugo, as always, is just angry that Deku exists. Well, to be more accurate, he's angry that someone he sees as inferior has the gall to try to help him. These shots show Deku helping him out of the creek as a kid and saving him from the slime villain in episode 2. All of this boils over in Bakugo until he's ready to lash out, and then the chorus comes back in. In a flash, we see Stain's red scarf crossing over the screen, and we abruptly cut to the fight with the hero killer as he's perched atop Todoroki's ice wall and ready to attack. Interestingly, the line of the chorus that plays over Stain's introduction is the same one that introduced Deku about cutting through the falsehoods, which is essentially what Stain wants to do. Fancying himself to be the Holden Caulfield of the supervillain world, Stain cuts down heroes that he sees as phonies in order to inspire the survivors to pursue the true ideal of heroism that he admires in All Might. He is a twisted reflection of Deku, inspired to end lives by the same ideal that inspired Deku to save them. So it's fitting to have them both come in on the same line. Ida and Todoroki have both been struggling to set their sights on that heroic ideal, so it's equally appropriate that their action scenes play out over the rest of the line. That Todoroki is willing to use his fire powers in this fight shows growth on his part since his fight with Deku, and further enforces the idea that Deku's help is what allowed him to help Ida here. Speaking of Ida, one nice little detail in this shot is that his eyes are blocked from view by the reflection in his glasses. This could just be an attempt to save a bit of animation time, but it does create the impression that he's charging in blindly without thinking, which is how this fight begins in the show. Before we move on, let me say that the animation here is incredible across the board, and it's incredible in that fight too, although I'll talk about that in a later video. Every action is fluid and detailed. The character expressions are on point. I love how crazy Stain looks here, and the 3D rotations around each character are remarkable, especially Ida as he runs past Toru to attack Stain. Look at the way that the background is hand-drawn. That's freaking nuts. On that note, the final action shot, which is equally beautiful, sees Deku jump into the fray using full cowl, flying in on the exact same line as All Might did in the intro.
Alright, cool.
Let's talk a bit about what that line means for a second. It translates roughly to singing to the sky, which is in itself a bit of a pointless gesture, singing loudly simply for the sake of singing. But symbolically, the idea that what you're singing might reach someone else and inspire them resonates strongly with what All Might is trying to do through his heroic acts and his ever-present smile. This draws a fantastic parallel, because in this fight, for the first time in the series, Deku is essentially stepping in to fill All Might's shoes as a interim symbol of peace in his absence. His actions remind both Ida and Stain of the heroic ideal represented by All Might, and he previously inspired Todoroki in the same way during the tournament. The intro sets up this passing of the torch, and then this repetition of the chorus shows it happening. As Deku flies in, we cut to the League of Villains, fronted by Shigaraki and Kurogiri. In the background, we can see the silhouettes of their new recruits, Dabi and Best Girl Himiko, which makes for two best girls in this shot. We then see Deku staring down Shigaraki over that same line. Hitsuzen, Hitsuzen. As Shigaraki is the protege of All for One and will probably inherit his powers one day, it's inevitable that Deku will have to fight him as the protege of All Might. They are destined to be arch enemies, and overcoming Shigaraki is necessary for Deku to take up the mantle of the symbol of peace. And on that note, it's important that in this shot, Deku is in the exact same pose that we saw as he attacked Stain, implying that this is, in fact, the same attack. This could mean that, in acting as a symbol of peace in this fight, Deku is cementing his destiny and the inevitable clash with Shigaraki that will eventually follow. Or it could be foreshadowing that the League of Villains will eventually steal Stain's image as their own rallying symbol in order to recruit more villains. Speaking of symbols, in a slightly modified refrain that's a future that is too bright to abandon rather than a future we achieve with all our might, we see the symbolic All Might from the first OP slowly fading into the dreamlike light around him. As a symbol, neither Shigaraki nor Deku can abandon All Might. He's everything that Deku wants to be and everything that Shigaraki wants to destroy. The fade implies that All Might's time as a hero may be finite, but from there we cut away to another shot of the man himself flexing in front of the lineup of teachers as they challenge the students for the final exams. The lines that play here are Mirai A, or to the future, which implies that the students at UA will carry on All Might's ideal forward into the future when he's gone, and Agake, which roughly means fight on. And the students do fight on. For the first time, the character shot montage isn't just a bunch of pointless shows of power. Each shot shows one of the teams for the final exams and the environment in which they'll have to fight their respective teacher. All of these shots are animated animated beautifully,
So
broadcasting each character's personality and powers in an instant. And as always, Toru is just the cutest, though a close second goes to literally every other girl, especially Ochako. The funniest shot is probably Mineta and Sero, since instead of getting ready to battle, Mineta looks more ready to just dive in and fondle Midnight. It's very in character.
Like,
to keep things fair, Ojiro and Yaoyorozu are both given their own individual shots because Ida and Todoroki had the chance to show off themselves in the action scene. Bakugo also gets a chance to shine on his own, flying down the street towards All Might with his explosions and, vitally, keeping an unmistakable smile on his face as he does it. After their fight, All Might makes note of Bakugo's ability to smile in times of hardship as a true sign of his heroic strength, even if the smile is a little more crazy and intimidating than it is inspiring. It's an important character detail, and I'm glad they included it, even if it's just for a frame. We pull out from Bakugo's attack to Midoriya's eye as he turns to face away from us. This is the moment that Deku resolves himself to running away through the escape gate and leaving Kacchan behind, but then he activates One for All, and we freeze frame on him and the rest of the class staring up at a huge wall marked with Plus Ultra, a physical representation of the UA school motto, Go Beyond. Everyone has their own metaphorical wall to overcome during the final exam arc, and they all begin climbing to varying degrees of success, but the show calls special attention to the wall that Bakugo and Deku have to overcome in facing All Might. Multiple times throughout the fight, All Might is referred to as the tallest wall in the world, so this wall at the end card could simply represent him specifically. And in front of this wall, while every other character is staring up, wondering how they can ever possibly get past it or climb over it, we see Deku stand alone, charging up to knock it down, which he does when he rushes in to save Kacchan at the end of their exam. As All Might notes, Deku is the kind of character who will rush to save anyone who needs saving without a thought, and in those moments, there is no wall that he can't overcome. It's a strong turning point for his character, and it's captured beautifully in this one image. Note how his main rivals, Bakugo and Todoroki, are both standing back, perplexed, as Deku steps up like he's saying, yo, hold my beer. I don't think I can overstate just how much I love the art in this end card. When the Blu-ray with the 1080p creditless version of this OP drops, I'm getting it printed up and framed for the wall of our new office. Of course, a great end card doesn't necessarily make for a great OP overall, so in the contest of which Hiroaka opening is truly the best, it's still anyone's game, is what I want to say, but I mean, just look at the timestamp on this video. There's so much more going on in Sora ni Utaiba than there was in either of the previous OPs. Even taking out the discussion of the lyrics, this analysis would still be 1.5 times as long as either section of my last video. And while I like the actual music in both of the other OPs more, especially Peace Sign, and I'm sure there are things I could add to both of those other analyses, there's something else that pushes this one well over the top. This OP is careful to place heavy emphasis on where characters are facing. At the start, Deku is looking away from All Might, then turns to face him as he comes in from above, effectively mirroring their positions in the first OP and indicating a change in their power dynamic. Gran Torino and Nana Shimura have their backs to each other, and the fact that Nana is facing away from the camera hints that she's long gone. In the previous shot, All Might was facing sideways, implying that he's somewhere between both of his former mentors. Deku turns to face Todoroki, who keeps his back to him as they both look on to the struggling Ida, implying a lack of awareness of who has each of their backs. Uraraka faces forward from her past failures, using them to fuel her future improvement, while Yaoyorozu faces back toward her wall, feeling trapped by her failures. The camera moving around Ida implies a change in his worldview that allows him to move in the same direction as Todoroki and Deku instead of away from them. And speaking of Deku, do I have to reiterate the significance of him staring down Shigaraki, or of both of them chasing All Might's back? There's no greater metaphorical significance to any of this. However, by using this kind of character blocking as a motif throughout this OP as the primary way of conveying how characters relate to each other, themselves, and the world at large. The whole piece is given a sense of cohesion and consistency that makes all of the disparate shots and scenes feel more connected than they otherwise would. This also makes each shot easier to read in the context of the whole, so by the end of this OP, we're primed to better understand the more complicated character dynamics that they show us. The Day maintains its own sense of continuity by using a lot of match cuts, and Peace Sign does this a bit by repeatedly showing characters heading in the direction of symbols or off-screen objects representing All Might, but neither of them goes nearly as in-depth as Sora ni Utaiba. It seems like with most anime, the OPs either stay at relatively the same level of quality or get worse over time as the most powerful symbols and ideas are used up. But like Deku and the show itself, Hiroaka's OPs just get better and better as time goes on, building on what's come before to reach new heights. And so we reach the conclusion that a lot of you probably expected. The Day comes in a respectable and still good third, Peace Sign comes in a strong second, and Sora ni Utaiba is the best OP.
So there we go.
Not because it's the most memeable or because it has the most subjectively appealing music, but because it has the most to say. I'm sure you're gonna fight me over this in the comments anyway though, and in keeping with that, while you're down there, let me know what fights from Hiroaka and other anime you most want to see me analyze in future videos. I will be listening. On that note, if you like action, you'll be happy to know that Bookwalker, Kadokawa's manga and light novel ebook store, is doing a sale on various action titles from now until October 17th. They have a metric ton of great action manga on sale for 699 yen a pop, including The Lords of Edgetown, Attack on Titan, and Akame ga Kill, which I'm told is a better manga than it is an anime, as well as the much talked about fantasy manga Goblin Slayer. This sale also marks the digital debut of one of my favorite shonen manga from when I was a kid, Rave Master, a musically themed swashbuckling adventure from the guy who created Fairy Tail. I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't already, and you should know that you can get the first volume of Rave Master or any of the other manga that they have on sale for just 88 cents by using the promo code BASEMENT for a 600 yen discount. And on top of that, if you buy any combination of 3 volumes that are on sale, so that could be 3 different first volumes or 2 books in the same series and one in another, you'll be given a coupon for 500 yen, meaning that you get basically 3 manga for the price of 1 and some change. That is a steal, and I can promise you a great reading experience too. Bookwalker's app for PC and phones is without question my favorite way to read manga and light novels. The interface is nice and intuitive, it gives you lots of options for organizing and personalizing your collection, and you can zoom in super close to the high quality scans to catch any details that you might have missed. Even on my 4K monitor, I get a lot of use out of that zoom function.
That's cool.
Bookwalker's support helps to keep this channel running, but so do the wonderful patrons whose names you're seeing right now. I wouldn't be here without each
I like to keep these bits in at the end, just so that like if people do want to do
if you missed my last Hiroaka video, you can check that out here, and if you want to see me compare some more great openings from Studio Bones, check out my rundown of the FMA OPs right over here. Also, if you want to get that little gag from the start of this video, go to my second channel where I have it posted as its own video. I'm Jeff Thu, professional shitbag, reminding you to never skip the openings.
Very valid. That was cool. I like it. There's so much going on, isn't there? Like you just don't realize until you go in depth. It's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. I love it. I love it a lot. So, God, yeah. Thank you guys very much for suggesting that. That was very interesting. And thank you guys very much for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click a like, subscribe if you've not already, leave comments down below, let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys, yes, all of you guys, next time.